Ladies and gentlemen, off the Mike Sports Network here, there are moments in my life where I just love being a sports fan, where I just love being a fan. And there's many reasons why I love doing this video and, just telling you guys how I feel about certain things, whether it be wrestling, sports. What we experienced, not just tonight in Game 7 of the World Series or whenever you consume this video. This series, the 2025 World Series, is going to go down as the greatest World Series I've ever witnessed. And I was a part of one in 2016 as a fan of the Cleveland, formerly Indians, now Guardians. And that was a gut punch. I witnessed another team, the Chicago Cubs, and their drought on my home, on the team that I root for's home field. It's a gut punch. I have no earthly idea what it's going to feel like for the next day, several days, years to be a Toronto Blue Jays fan. The Los Angeles Dodgers are world champions after pulling off two of the most unlikely wins that I've ever seen in my entire life. This is one of the great high wire acts. You want to call it a heist? You can call it a heist. The Toronto Blue Jays, for a large chunk of this series, and you could go look at the stats and look at the batting average metrics, the runs, the home runs, and all this other stuff. Almost all of them were probably won by Toronto. The Blue Jays had a 3-0 lead to start this game. The Dodgers could not hit. They said in like the third inning, the Dodgers were hitting 190 for the series. The Dodgers had 4 hits yesterday, won 3-1 on an incredible double play to end that game with George Springer on deck. I talked about how mind-numbing that was, and they're going to have to live with the ending of that game. But the Blue Jays had many opportunities to bring home the winning run. They were 2 outs away from bringing a world championship to Canada. And yet somehow, some way, the Los Angeles Dodgers are the first repeat champion in 25 years. And Yoshinobu Yamamoto, let's start there. What this guy did, somebody could go check this and update me in the comments because maybe it's happened like 100 years ago. Yamamoto's got to be the first guy in the history of baseball that's won back-to-back games because he was the winning pitcher yesterday, and he's the winning pitcher in game. He's winning pitcher in Game 6 and the winning pitcher in Game 7. He won 3 games in this series. Easy MVP. Came out there 2 2/3 innings, got them through it, got the ground ball double play to end the game with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. standing on third base. Just an unbelievable ending. An unbelievable ending to this thing. And Yamamoto is one of the biggest reasons why the Dodgers are world champions. He won 3 games in this series. 3 games in this series. Through a complete game in game 2, through 6 innings in game 6, and comes out there and almost throws 3 innings to win this game. Like, it's unheard of what this guy did. Unheard of. But even the superstars aren't the story of this game, because you look at this. So Bo Bichette hits a bomb off of Shohei Ohtani, who started this game and did not have his best stuff. And as this game matriculated on, you had the sense that this was going to be Toronto's night. It felt like it. Last night, okay, the Dodgers had a 3-run inning. They're able to hold on 3-1. No runs were scored. But obviously, the 9th inning was just, unbelievable. So they get a couple of sac flies. Max Muncy hits a big home run, which is not going to get talked about in the 8th inning. And then Miguel Rojas happened. Let's talk about this for a second. Miguel Rojas, journeyman guy, literally thrusted into the lineup at second base. The Dodgers don't win the World Series without Miguel Rojas either. He's not going to be MVP. He wasn't, because Yamamoto, it was an easy. Miguel Rojas. I mean, yeah, Freddie Freeman, 18th inning, game 3 home run. You can name all these heroes. Miguel Rojas, the 2 games in Toronto, for a guy who literally got thrusted into the lineup at the last possible second in the last 2 games when this Dodgers offense couldn't do anything. He was more of a defensive guy. 9th inning. Comes up there with Shohei Ohtani on deck. Your goal is to get on 2 outs away from losing the World Series. And Miguel Rojas hits a home run, which he hadn't done in a month. Miguel Rojas hits a home run in the ninth inning off of Jeff Hoffman to tie this game and send it to extra innings. Then, it gets even crazier where in the bottom half of the ninth inning, Miguel Rojas fields a ground ball on a drawn-in infield as Dalton Varsho grounds it up the middle, 1 out in the ninth inning. Anything to the outfield is going to win the World Series in a walk-off fashion for the Toronto Blue Jays. Miguel Rojas gets this ball, somehow is able to get up, gather himself, throw a strike, and get it to Will Smith, whose foot was on the plate, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa slides in late, and he's out. And let's not forget what happened right after that. Ernie Clement hits a ball to deep left center. Kike Hernandez trying to put on his Willie Mays impression, and Andy Pages trucks him and makes the catch. The end of that ninth inning was just wild, just like the night before. Let's also not forget Miguel Rojas' pick in Game 6 to end that game on the double play with Kike Hernandez. How the Dodgers got out of the last 2 ninth innings of this season in Game 6 and Game 7 is a legendary high wire act that I'm never going to even be able to fathom. We can question the Blue Jays and some of their tactics and some of the ways if Kiner-Falefa could have had a better lead or something. I don't know what happened, but then the Dodgers are not able to score in the 10th, and then we go in the 10th. Yamamoto just mows through everybody, gets a 3-up, 3-down inning, and then Will Smith, the white Will Smith, who had not hit home runs, had not had an extra base hit before this series, came up with 2 home runs in Toronto and hits the game-winning home run. And then it comes down to it in the 9th inning, or in the 11th inning, bottom half. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. played a great series. This was not his best game. He had a double, is standing on third base, and Alejandro Kirk grounds out into the double play. Good for Mookie Betts, by the way. He had a bad series at the plate, had the one big hit in Game 6, but he gets the double play to Freddie Freeman, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are world champions, man. Seriously, this is one of the greatest World Series of all time. This Game 7 is one of the greatest Game 7s in any sport that you're ever going to find. Like, this was the ultimate, sporting event that we're going to talk about for years to come. The amount of things that happened over the last 2 days, the amount of things that happened in this series, like, think about what we saw in this series. We saw a guy win 3 games in this series, Yamamoto. We saw an 18-inning game with a walk-off home run. We saw back-to-back home runs to start the game on 3 pitches for Toronto. And then we saw a double play from the outfield to end Game 6. And then somehow we saw the 9th inning, whatever the hell that was, and then the Dodgers are able to pull this out. Guys, the 9-hitter, Miguel Rojas, who isn't there for hitting, with a great offensive play in the top of the ninth, and then a great defensive play in the bottom of the ninth to rescue the Dodgers out of this. Andy Pages, who couldn't hit worth a shit, makes an unbelievable play, because if he doesn't get over there, Kike Hernandez is not catching that ball, even as what that effort was. I don't know how that happened. Like, my goodness. We saw a wedged ball in the outfield, which Toronto fans are going to bitch and moan about the rules. Think about the amount of shit that we saw in this series. It's the greatest World Series ever. Greatest World Series ever. I'll say this. Obviously, being from Los Angeles, I've grown up around the Dodgers. I've been to Dodger games. I wouldn't necessarily, like I said, the Indians Guardians are my team, but I've been around the Dodgers, and I know a lot of people who have worked with the Dodgers, or have covered the Dodgers, or are fans of the Dodgers. I'm very happy for the fan base. Obviously, LA, has their weird things about their fan base. You know what I mean? But let's call it what it is. This is good for baseball. We haven't had a dynasty in a long time. Dynasties draw interest, okay? And say what you will about the Dodgers. I had a friend of mine text me saying that they're the Astros of baseball. Come on. You can be annoyed about what went on with the Yankees. That's more of a better comparison. They buy talent. They develop talent. But this was not an easy win. And this team had to go through a lot of shit to win this championship. The Toronto Blue Jays deserve every ounce of credit for making this as compelling and great of a series as it is. Yes, there is going to be questions about the end of Game 6, how Game 3 was managed by John Schneider, how the end of this game happened. But the Dodgers won this series. The Blue Jays are going to be thinking about this for a long time. I know it's not going to be easy for Blue Jays. First of all, I cannot fathom what it's like to be a Toronto Blue Jays fan. I said that at the top of this video. I can't imagine what it's like to be a player on that team. You're 2 outs away from a world championship in Game 6. If the Dodgers aren't playing a certain defense, that game's tied and you might win it in 6. They could have won Game 3 if a couple things go this way. The Blue Jays, in my mind, were the better team in this series. They just did not win the games that mattered. And that's why they're not the champions. It stinks. This is what happens in sports, man. And man, as a guy, and I love a lot of I have a lot of love for people in that organization as well. Mark Shapiro, Ross Adkins, Ernie Clement, Andres Jimenez, who, by the way, we almost had a fight in this game too. Another thing that I didn't even talk. That was great. Shane Bieber, who unfortunately was the losing pitcher in this game. I have a lot of love for Vlad Guerrero, man. Bo Bichette and, George Springer basically, huffing and puffing and playing injured, which is just, so admirable. If you're a Blue Jays fan, I know it's not going to be easy for you to hear. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah, you're obviously going to be mad about a couple certain things, the wedge ball, Game 6, Game 7, all this other shit. Your team took what a lot of people thought was the best team maybe ever assembled to 7 games and took them to extra innings and had 2 chances at home to win the World Series. Yeah, that obviously sucks. But that is, you got to put a feather in your cap. Obviously, losing a World Series. I've seen the franchise that I root for, the Cleveland Indians / Guardians. I've seen them in 2 Game 7s in the World Series, lose them both in extra innings. It is not easy to get over that. I still haven't gotten over it, but I'm damn proud of that team, especially the Cubs were a much better team. The Marlins, you're on the road. It's just, like I said, it's just, I'm never going to forget this World Series. This is why baseball is so fucking wonderful, especially postseason baseball. If you're a Dodgers fan, I hope you have a defibrillator to revive you from all of the crazy nonsensical shit that you went through in this game. And if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan, my heart goes out to you. One of my best friends in the world, you guys know him here on the channel, Danny Udelf, is the biggest Toronto Blue Jays fan that I know. And I texted him right as the final out was recorded. And I said, dude, my heart breaks for you. Because let's be real. This is why sports is great, but it also sucks. Somebody's got to lose. And to lose like that, when you're 2 outs away from a world championship, you lost the night before, all this other stuff. Your team was the better team for most of this series. And you're not the world champions. Seriously, what a series. Thank you, Dodgers. Thank you, Blue Jays. Obviously, congratulations to the Dodgers. Again, if you're a fan of Toronto, like I said, I can't. This country of Canada's devastated. Like, there's multiple countries involved in this. I don't know how we're ever going to see a World Series like this ever again. So thank you guys for listening to me for about 15 minutes here. I'm going to have another video up here later about Yamamoto, because what he did was nothing short of remarkable. We'll also react to some wrestling here, because there was some wrestling that happened tonight. But this World Series is just an all-timer. So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.